All right, back inside our HQ studios, Jeremy St. Louis alongside Jamey Eisenberg, Pete Prisco here, brought to you by Amazon. Let's talk about this Detroit-Dallas result. Obviously a big result for Dallas. I'll ask you the same question, Jamey. I mean, how nice was it able to see Dak Prescott back and healthy and kind of getting back into that rhythm?
I mean, this was an easy layup game for them, if you will, just because home game against an inferior opponent. They lose one of their best offensive players early in the game. They were already down DeAndre Swift, going into the matchup. And so, as Dak said, it's kind of the same formula for success. He watched this defense perform well, and then he was just able to lean on the running game and not make mistakes. And so I'm going to imagine that he's going to get better and get ramped up to the level of what Dak Prescott can be, and that's what this offense needs to be a legitimate Super Bowl contender. But the defense is playing great. The run game was great once again, and Dak just did enough to get the team over the hump.
But eventually, and you started seeing little bits and pieces of it, they threw the ball down the field a couple different times. He hit Lamb a couple times. They have to be able to do that because you have to be able to back people off. But you mentioned it. The run game's working, and that defense, they had 5 sacks today, and Parsons only had 1 of them. I mean, Sam Williams, the rookie from Mississippi, had 2. They're getting after the quarterback, and they're going to be a problem for teams once they do figure out that passing game.
Once they do come back into form, assuming that Dak stays healthy, how dangerous is this team? I mean, what's the ceiling for the Cowboys at this point if they get rolling with Dak, Ezekiel Elliott?
Oh,
CeeDee
they
Lamb?
could be the best team in the NFC. I mean, Philadelphia right now is the class of the conference class of the division, but I mean, they have everything in place to be right there with them. I mean, you see what's happening around the conference. The Bucs, awful. The Packers, they're in a dogfight right now to try and survive against Washington. San Francisco, we're going to see what comes out of there. The Rams, the Cardinals, those teams. This looks like, it could be the 2 best teams in the NFC are coming from the NFC.
Well, until some of those teams like the 49ers and others sort it out. But you're right. Right now, the Cowboys are in the conversation being one of the best teams. And, the Vikings are 5-1. Nobody believes in them. Right. But, yeah, they're in the conversation being one of the best teams in the NFC.
If Dak is what Dak has been, which is, a legitimate top 15, top 10 quarterback, depending on how things go, they have everything in place. They legitimately have everything in place. Schultz getting healthy, that's big. CeeDee Lamb coming into it.
Gallup getting healthy.
Gallup getting healthy. Because the defense, the thing about it is, even though they sometimes get away from, I think, what their identity could be, stopping the run and getting pressure, they're very turnover prone. And they get the ball back to their offense. So that's a big thing for that defense.
So, Pete, what about Detroit, though? I mean, we saw that board. Those first few games, they started off to a flyer. The offense has really lost a lot. Are you attributing that due to injuries, or is that a scheme thing? Where is Detroit at this point?
Well, I think offensively, it's injuries have impacted that offense. No Swift. Amon St. Brown went down today. So you see guys getting hurt, and that impacts the offense. Defensively, they've been bad all year. They were actually better today, which is a step in the right direction. They made a little progress coming out of the bye, but they're not good on that side of the ball. They had a long way to go. People got too excited about the Lions because they got off to a good start, throwing the football, scoring some points, and they were on Hard Knocks, but they're not that good a team right now.
Dan Campbell's obviously feeling the heat. It's unfortunate because I think he's not a bad coach, but he doesn't have a lot to work with, and that's part of the problem. And so, it's funny because we're going to sit here and say in the next few months, keep an eye on Ben Johnson as a potential head coaching candidate, but the head coach that's already there is struggling to get the job done. And so I think when they get the guys healthy back offensively, the offensive line is still really good. When they have everybody there that can run the ball, Jared Goff can't make mistakes like this, so 2 interceptions bad.
Yeah, and one of the things, too, is, this is one of the best offensive lines in the NFL in Detroit, but it just can't seem to keep anybody healthy at this point. And from a fantasy perspective, you just wonder where you go if you've got Detroit Lions players on your team, like Amon St. Brown, maybe Jared Goff, Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift. You want advice? Here's where you go. Fantasy Football Today, podcast format. You can also watch it here on HQ. Download and follow wherever you get your podcast audio.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.